Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, so start a little bit, just working the vertical here. If you want to take it a little bit to a jump, let's let the ground receive the body. In. Side to side. And a rotation. Just rolling the shoulders a little bit. And then forwards. Rolling them back. Okay. Just working the arms, figure of eight. Some heavy. Okay, good. We'll do a little bit of foundation. We'll do 3 poses. So the first one, just get the breath, kind of decompression. So feet shoulder width apart, nice and long. Just going to kind of breathe in nice and deep. And then exhale. Nice and deep in. And create some space, opening the lungs. Imagine pulling the back of the head nice and long. Imagine the elbows kind of pulling apart from each other as well, with gentle pressure out from the arms. Nicely in. Okay, we're going to the first pose. In this case, there's going to be 3. So what I want to do is like a very short founder. So you're just wider than shoulder width. The first position, just back with the hands, thumbs external, pointing out. And just do the same thing. You're just going to do 3 deep breaths in. So in, here, and out. Keep the length, out, in, out, in. As you can see, this out one, just scoot the hands through, closing the armpits and drawing the hands together here. Just about the level of the heart around here, so not too high, just here. And again, just nice 3 deep breaths in. Hips are a little bit more engaged back. Knees not so much forward, in line with the ankle. Pressing the fingertips together. Can this deep breath out, hinge the hips back more, raise the hands up. Just play with the hands. You can do them in that kind of position, that kind of offering position. You can have them like that. Key thing is keeping the shoulders down, neck nice and long, hips and hands pulling away from each other. Let's deep breath in. And out. And in. And out. Reach them as high as you can. Whilst keeping the shoulders, you don't want to shrug the shoulders, keep the shoulders wide down. Okay, and this breath out, go back to the original position. Here, hips are a lot wider, a lot more hinged now. So it's a lot lower. Try not to bend the knees too much, keep the hips back. 3 deep breaths in. And creating width and length through the whole body. This deep breath out, forward again, hinging the hips back a little bit more. And about level with the heart again. This deep breath out, again up, hinging the hips back a little bit more. High as you can with the hands. You can offer them up to the side. Just keep them full open, extended. Shoulders back wide, neck long. And one more time, a little bit faster, open to the back. Hips are a lot more hinged now. You can't really go further back with the hips. Open, forward, hinging back a little bit more with the hips. Keep the neck long. Up, high as you can. And this breath out, just release it. And coming back to standing up. Great, shake the hips off a little bit. Okay, the next one's going through a lunge, so you don't want too wide a lunge, so I don't want the legs really, really wide apart, but I don't want them so narrow that I can kind of place the feet flat down, so you're a little bit off, you're off on the back heel here. You want to be a little bit internally rotated with the feet, so you don't want to be kind of a bit more pigeon-toed than I don't know the other one, that one. You want to be a little bit, the front foot especially, kind of a little bit more pointed in. Feel the whole structure is going in towards the center, so everything's kind of squeezing towards the center. Okay, and the first one, just get used to the position, sit into it, lengthen the breath, lengthen the body. In this case especially, you don't want in the lunge to lean into the knee, so just keep this alignment in mind with the knee, front knee and the ankle. You don't want to go in front of it with the knee. Okay, first position again, you just come here, gently pulling the body forward a little bit. You just come, don't slip on the ground. You just slightly hinging the body forward. Again, don't do it from the knee, do it from the hip. You're just there, lengthen, nice 3 deep breaths in. Go this way. Back, nice and long, nice and wide in the shoulders. And then the same thing, but you're going to hinge, rather than now pull the hips back, you're going to hinge them forward. You come to this position. Again, try not to bend the knee forwards, lengthen through the back leg. All the weight's in the front heel, and the back foot is getting lighter and lighter as you kind of hinge forward. So there's more weight on the front heel than the back foot. Nice deep breaths in. There. And then again, you're going to reach up, hinge forward a little bit more. Again, you can do that offering pose, or you can just keep them open like this. The key thing is again the hip, wedging forward and not bending forward on the knee. Nice deep breaths in. Really lengthen through the whole structure. Back leg included now. But quite light on the back foot, not too much weight in the back toe. And then again, back to the original position. Still wedged forward with the hip. Here. And then again, forward, hinging a little bit more. And then again, breath out, up. Lengthen, hinge a little bit more. The whole body's going to squeeze towards the center of the hips, center of the body. Hips, glutes, everything. One more time to the back. Keep the hinge. Nice long breath. And again, forwards. Up. And let it go. That one. Okay, just shake the body a little bit. And we do exactly the same just on the other side. So right foot forward or left foot, depending on which you have. Come into it and just get it straight into it here. Hinging forward. Weight on the front heel. Starting to come out of the back foot. Length through the body. Hinging forward. Coming to the level of the heart. So hips are kind of tight forward, so like a square. Well, the hips. Deep breath out, raising them up. Hinging forward a little bit more. Deep breath out again to the back. And to the heart. Hinge a bit more. And the front hip pretty tight. Up. Hinge a little bit more. Keep the neck long, shoulders wide. Weight in the front heel, really pressing into the front hip. To the back. To the front. Hinging as much as you can now with the hip. Up. Last one. Nice and high. Hinging as much as you can. Length through the back neck. Back of the neck. And slowly let it come up. And bring the body back. Again, just shake the hips off a little bit. And okay, great. Okay, we'll do one more. It's the same as the first one, just a little bit wider. So you've got the feet like this. Again, try and get the feet a little bit inclined to the middle. And then what this is done is just to force the hips to kind of go towards the center. So if you've got them out, there's a tendency they start to split out. So as wide, quite wide, and you can go wider as you go along with it. But do the same exercises. So the first one, just get the length, let the body extend. No real tension, just feel the body a little bit pressing back. Lengthen through the body. You can put the hands here if you like. Just a few breaths, nice and long. Back, nice, long, open in the shoulders. And then again, just start to hinge the hips. Hands come back. First few nice and slow. Chest forward, chin back. Again, try not to bring the knees forward of the feet, keep them back. And then again, to the heart. And then up. Hinging the hips a little bit more. So if someone's behind you, kind of pulling the hips back. And to the back again, keep the hinge. You might find it useful also to feel that you can press, you've got 3 points of contact with the feet. You've got the heels, the big base of the big toe, and the little toe, so that you can kind of press those equally. We'll kind of bring online the legs as well. So if you're kind of struggling with the legs, let the feet really support them. Into the front, hinge a little bit deeper. And up. Keeping the height, hinge the back, hinge the arms back. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Forwards, hinge a little bit more, much as you can now. Last movements. And up. Much as you can with the hips, as if they're really pulling apart from each other. And then the last one, just let the hands go down into the ground and just lengthen a bit more from the spine. You've got support in the hands. Use the breath. It's a little bit more relaxed, but not too relaxed. Lengthen, maximum amount through the spine. Gently just drawing the hands up. Go back to the shins. Again, just lengthen the neck, lengthen the body. Deep breath out, and just rolling the body back up. And just coming back to a normal position, the body, and just loosening the hips off. Okie dokie. Good. Okay, good. That's a kind of easy set as well, because what you can do in between those is do three exercises that you do in each of the positions. So that's also, it's a nice set, but it's quite long, so it takes a bit of time to do it. So what we'll do is just go into this movement. So just swing in the arms and just loosen the body off. So you'll feel all the hips, everything, all the legs. Use that sensation that you got in them and just let the arms go through it. Just that. You feel the weight of the body. And hopefully it's all anchored in the right places. So hopefully feel the hips, the glutes. Much more, you should hopefully have much more feeling in the lower body than the upper body, which is good. Let the shoulders be nice and loose. Legs have a kind of rubbery quality. And just make it as dynamic as you like. So. And then switching to this one just to the side, just letting the hips twist. Arm nice and heavy. You can also just do this kind of focusing just on that hand, but just really focusing on the kind of whip out. Just play a little bit with the hand. It doesn't always have to come to the shoulder. You can play with it, falling to the hip, just to the ribs, a little bit around the neck. That's good. That's good. And then for the shoulders, just rolling over this way. They spreading front and back. And really think about opening the shoulders out. Finding the central axis of the body as the hands come up, and then spinning. Just think about the heaviness of the elbow as well. And again, close the body down as you go. You can do this both ways. And much more emphasis on the hips and the lower body and the arms. There we go. That's it. Great. Good. Okay. So we'll just go down a little bit through kemi work. And this is also good for massaging the back. So as you go, just using the hands, using the body, nice contact. Just go at your own pace. And just do it like I do about 50. Just you can follow my tempo, you can do your own. Just keep the body nice and full. Really use the hands for contact. This is good this is good for lots of things. One big thing it's good for is this hinge in the hip. If you go forward, so really creating mobility in the hip. Feeling that you can really fold it. Let the hips really create the movement. The arms just guide. And just let the breath naturally fall in line with the movement. About the last 10 or so. Let's make them as easy as the first ones. Last one. Okay, take a little bit of a break here. Drop the body a little bit. Okay, good. And then just take a bokken. We'll go some see. Okay, great. Good. So we'll just come into the shoulder width apart. And just first starting with the swing. Actually go through all the levels. So I just show you straight away, you can just play with it. Swing through, place, and focusing with the cut. And just play with them. Sometimes just go to the focus. Sometimes just swing through. Sometimes just place. And just know whatever you do, the body's really going to do the same thing each time. Just a matter of what's happening with the connection to the arms. So. Good. Nice, nice, nice. So these foundation techniques are really good for getting in touch with the hips and the ability of the hip to hinge as you do it. So when you do this one, just watch, there's a really specific movement with the hip, which is not just a kind of movement, it's not just a movement down like that in the position, but it's actually a kind of creasing of the hip or folding of the hip. That. So just get the sense that what you're doing is actually from where the belt is. That. So there's this movement of the hip, and that movement of the hip forces the knees, everything to go out and down. But just feel that the movement's really anchoring in the center of the body, and the closest joint to that's the hip. The hip's going to really find that first impulse, and it's going to keep it all the way through. So just feel that hip movement all the way, also in the raise. Hip hinging and unhinging. Hip, 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 hip. That's it. That's it. Yeah, good. That's it. Nice. Okay, and if you go to the swing through, really important. Don't hinge further than you can. So if you go to this kind of position, you're kind of throwing the body forward. So always the body's going to do the same thing whether you swing through place or focus. So in this case, all you're allowing the body to do is just focus on the hip hinge. So I'm just focusing on that, but I want to feel really long at the end of it. I don't want to feel like, oh, the sword coming to the ground is actually pulling the body out of stretcher. If that's the case, I'm going a little bit too fast and I'm adding into the sword cut. So don't feel, there should be no feeling in this movement that I need to counterbalance the body at all. So it shouldn't feel like the top needs to come forward. Just feel that all you're doing is really length through the body and then hinge. So you're breaking the vertical, but you're not counterbalancing the body in this case, like this. Just get a feel for it. That's it. And the swing through just allows you to really prioritize the hips. That's it. Nice. There we go. Yeah. Good. Great. That's it. Good. So we'll stick to this posture, and we'll go now into the 𝒂𝒂𝒻. So you've got this position with the hip, and then all you're going to do is twist the hips now. So you're going to kind of feel that you spread the hips. So now you're going to do like this motion or this motion. And what you're doing is now twisting the hips. It's very similar to this kind of motion we do with the arms, but you're raising the sword through it. So just play with it. And again, you've got 3 levels of it. You can just swing through it. Also, releasing the arm is a good way to do this. Swing through it. You can just place the sword, or you can focus it through this way. So just play with this, just shoulder width apart. The key thing is I'm not twisting against the knees, so just listen to the knees, especially in this one. You don't want to twist against the joint system. So keep the first few nice and light. Again, just notice what has to happen in the hip to get that movement to happen, to pass into the sword. That's it. Okay. Again, just try and free the shoulder up so that it's not doing a lot of work. So what you don't want to do in this case is like this. Something where the shoulder's really having to go into a really tricky position. If you get with the sword and you just put the arm out like this, if I put the arm shoulder in this kind of position and I just with that position feels totally weak. And if I go like into these positions, really not so great position. So that's the position I'm putting the shoulder in. If I go around in these kind of positions, it's possible to strengthen the body in these ways. But it's actually a limited area of strength. So what you're doing with this, feel that the shoulder's really just passing along that line. So you're not really doing anything specifically different with the arms than the Shomunuchi work. That, and then what you do is like that. But try and avoid something like that, where you're doing this kind of work. So just keep the arms, or keep the hands especially, quite close to the line of the body. They're not exactly kind of sticking to it, because that would be impossible with the sword. But get the feeling that the hands are actually traveling pretty close to the body, and they're definitely not coming out of the body in this case. So I need the hips to act into the hands directly. The moment they go away, the hands start to act on their own. And then I'm doing something really with the arms and the shoulders. That's it. Again, you're trying to anchor the movement in the hips and then pass it through the spine into the arms. That's it. Nice. Yeah. And you can be pretty contained with this. And just play with like how contained in the body you can be. By contained, I mean quite stricter in the body, and still how free the sword can be. So the sword can be very free, and I can be pretty condensed in the body, or quite contained in the body. This. But the sword still has a lot of freedom, because I'm giving it the freedom with the grip. These kind of things. Just let it sway through. And all the momentum's going to come by the sword dropping down and me catching it with the hip. Boom. Just look for something contained and also quite light, especially in the upper body. That's it. Yeah. Good. That's it. Okay. So I really like these exercises, the kind of blueprints for movement. So when you do this one, just watch it. If I do something like this with the body, it's basically spinning the body out. Now the back's been really empty. So when you do this movement, it's really good that both hands are really active. So I'm finding the shoulder and I'm finding the back of it. And that's really to kind of balance the body. And you see this pattern quite a lot in martial arts movement. You also see it in karate when you do this kind of movement. So you draw back and you send out. So you've got a kind of balancing hand. Later that hand disappears when I just go into striking or I just go into that kind of movement. But in this case, you've got two hands on the sword and feel that you've got a real back anchor. So because I'm not going forward with it, I can really just focus on anchoring the body down. So especially when you go to this one, just feel that the body's really centered through the base. The moment I feel like the body's getting pulled out, just notice it. Just notice it and just see if you can just draw it back in towards the center. Again, nothing really essentially different from the Shomanuchi work. So you're really just dropping into the base, but you're doing it with a kind of twist through the hip. That's it. It's a really balanced position. This is the beauty of these kind of shoulder width postures, because you can really focus. You can really notice when the body gets dragged forward or back. There we go. That's it. That's it. That's it. Great. Great. Good. And then the last one is just for the for the ski movement. So just start a few just here again, shoulder width, and you've got really left side, right side. So really actually pretty basic movement. That just getting the hip to come in, hip to come in. Now you've got a really outward movement. So this idea of balancing now in the body is really important, because I don't want at all the body to get pulled forward. So I really want to feel that the movement's coming from the back and the ground. So you've got really now a feeling of spiraling into the ground. So just think out and down. Just the first few really nice and light. Looking for maximum extension, really sinking through the base. There. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You can just go to notice what the hips have to do to kind of or anchor the movement in the body. There we go. Okay. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. This is a really tricky one. Also, I just told Adrian this before, but when I do this on camera, even if let's say I do it totally correct, which I'm not doing, then it looks like the hips are pulling back as I do it. So it looks like the hips are kind of pulling away and the hands are going forward. That's happening, but I'm hinging it in a spiral. So what's actually happening is the center's not really going anywhere. So feel that when you do this, you're doing this kind of motion with the body, but you're not doing that with the hip to kind of push the hands out. This is a really this is a really important point, because as you take this ski into movement, what I don't see happening is a splitting of the body, like something like that. So it's exaggerated, but something like that as it goes forward. So the hips kind of pulling back in the body, and the body's doing two things. So I need the body to be hinging into the ground, spiraling, but not pulling back. So just get a feeling for this. You can really notice it here, and it's quite tricky to get here because it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to get the feeling like not counterbalancing it. But how you do that is really getting the hips to go to the front and back. So this exercise we do with the hands, with the shoulders, this is a really kind of key exercise also, because it's teaching how to get the front and the back through a really kind of twisting movement. Without, if you think about doing that, I wouldn't do something like that as I do it. You just do that, boom, that, spreading out. So just play a little bit with the sword. You can also do just one-handed. And also you've got the backwards movement as well. There, 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 there. It's actually quite tricky because both hands are on the sword. Ski would be a lot easier just with one hand on the sword, but just how we use the sword in this case. Just going to spiral into the ground. Punk, punk. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Good. Good, good, good. Yeah, good. So we're just sort of taking them into movement. So just taking one step at a time. So just working first with the 𝒊𝒏𝒈 here, stepping in, coming down, like a classic full 𝒊𝒏𝒈, just on the spot. Just coming in, engage the hips. Here, here, here. Really working from the hips. Down, down, down. Just really taking your time with it. Nice. Good. Good. Just play a little bit now with stepping through. So you can do the step two ways. Obviously, you've got the front foot this way, and you've got the back foot this way. And also play a little bit with the Zengo. So you've got kind of three things to play with. You've got a front foot step, 𝒊𝒏𝒈. You've got a back foot, 𝒊𝒏𝒈, and you've got a rotation, 𝒊𝒏𝒈. All the time the line stays super clear. So just move around your space, working with. Actually, you've got 𝒊𝒏𝒈 as well. You've got the first 𝒊𝒏𝒈 as well. So you've actually got four things to play with. Just kind of mix them in as you see it. Just trying to keep a really pure 𝒊𝒏𝒈. Nice. And just play a little bit with the hands empty. So what you're doing is you're making a 𝒊𝒏𝒈 strike. So in this case, you've got, again, two variations. You've got to the front here. And in this case, you can do this different ways. There's kind of three levels in a way. But what I prefer in this case, much sharper, is just from here, straight in. This one we really practice in the style. We don't tend to do this one with the body. So in this case, you've got these two options. Just play with these. You've got front foot this way. And then this one that we do is back foot, striking through this way, striking through to the head. So just play with these, and again, just explore the space. You've got back foot striking through, and you've got front foot striking down, striking up. You've got one that's coming in long, boom. One that's coming in short, here. Just play with it. Right here. Whoosh. Yeah. Whoosh. Try this one. This one isn't necessarily wrong. This is a different form. So you've also got this one where you kind of draw the hand up and then press it through. So you got something like that. This coming in. Sometimes use that. It's used in different styles of Aikido, different arts of Jiu-Jitsu as well. But in this case, it's a really specific one. It's coming from low. That. So it's just that. That. So it's really coming in this arc. So this is the up part of the sword work. That. 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 So it's really, and you're hitting really with that part of the hand. That. And this is really right to the base of to the nose joint. So this is coming right to the middle of the face, and it's either coming to the center of the eyes here, or it's coming to the nose. It's coming right up into the face. Boom. And you sometimes see that with a hand open, also like that, which will go then up under the chin, that way. But a slightly different feeling. This being a Shomanuchi is right to the front of the face. Gong, like this. I just feel that one's very specific. And this is one we use all the time in terms of Shomanuchi work. Coming into Ikkyo, pressing through. That way. That's it. Yeah. And the back one's really the same dynamic as the sword cut. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah. Okay, the key is the hip. Most of you got this totally clear, so I can see it. So just when you get the hips, notice that the hip is what determines the Shomanuchi strike. So when you do this one, you want both hips to be pressing in forward. And especially also when you do the step through, I want both hips to be landing forward. So it's got this quality where I'm taking the hips and I'm doing boom, that with them. So they're moving forward without this idea like a yokomen, where you're doing something like that. So the moment I do something else with the hip, in terms of something like that, then that's when I'm trying to deliver a Shomanuchi. I'm actually delivering a yokomen, and I've actually twisted it out. And then the strike's going to be delivered in a strange way. The same with the front one. If I do something like that, this is going somewhere else. So it's going into another kind of space. So I really feel that the Shomanuchi one is very, very vertical, very frontal. It's got that kind of quality. I'm still using a hammy. So you've got one hip forward, but you're using the hips in a way like boom, straight in. And then the front, boom, straight in. So it's got a really frontal attack. Most of the attacks are going to be a variation where I'm going to twist the hip in a way to get around it. So the rare occasion you can use a Shomanuchi, you probably use a variation on it. Yeah, good. That's it. Good. Oh, Nina, I can't hear you. No. Can you write it? Maybe you can write it. I can't hear. No. It's about the hand. I could quite lip read on Zoom. Oh, it's annoying. There we go. Yeah. Strike below. This strikes from below. This strike in is here, coming up. So this is like a rising strike, and it's going to come into the face this way. You can do. There are variations. You can do that one, where it's coming like horizontal, and then the other one is doing that one, coming down with it. So you can make them variations on it. In this case, the way we use it in that case, the strike's going to rise up. So it's kind of coming that way. And if you think about it, it's delivered in a kind of blind spot. Because if you think about it, the person's stuck here. I'm going to catch their eyes, and then the strike's going to come up through this place. So you're going to raise up this way, or it's going to come later, something like that. But in this case, for this Shomanuchi, it's coming from a low level, boom, like that. But you can do that way, and you can do that way also. They're also possible. A little bit trickier. Okay, got that. Good. There we go. Great. Okay, we'll go to the Okanuchi. So take back the sword, and then just in this case, just again working with steps. So you're just going to come in, this, And note, you can also, with the 𝒂𝒂, you can also make this straight. So you can also make it off the front foot that way. So you, in that case, you would wedge off the line and then deliver it this way. So just play a little bit with it. And again, it's all to do with the hip work. So a change in the hip, change in the hip, change in the hip, change in the hip. The good thing about the yokonuchi, the other thing you can do with the yokonuchi, you can't really do the shomanuchi because it's a straight strike, is with the yokonuchi you can start to arc it this way. You can do that with the shomanuchi, but it's very linear. It's a really kind of linear way of doing it. So the yokonuchi is much more suited for kind of rounder strikes. So just play a little bit with, come in, these kind of wedges that way. Also, you can deliver it straight down the line. You can deliver it to the rear. Just get used to the feeling that the hip's now going to do something else. There you go. Now, just watch it. I really want now the hips to be working. So this is why this is the beauty of working down the line when you do the suguri. So when you work on the line, you're really forcing the hips to have to open out into. So the hips have to do this kind of folding through it, or I just get stuck in the movement. So I can get away with something like that. But I'm going around the center. So in this case, just get a sense when you come off the line, try and avoid doing something like this, where the hips are kind of going side on, something like that. You can't really get away with this kind of hip work because if you're doing it in an encounter, you've totally exposed yourself in this point. Now I can use the sword to block it, but I've missed the opportunity to strike. So just watching this case, try not to do something like this. Wedge the hips out somewhere there and then try and bring them back. Just get the sense that all you do is just switch the hip in. So you're working much more triangular with the hip. So the hip's going whoop, straight through. And that happens whether you go in a circle or whether you just go forward or whether you go off the line. But just get the feeling that what you're doing is something more direct with the hip. There. Direct with the hip. So it's got another kind of quality. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good. 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 All right. Whoa! Boom. That's it. Good, good. Good, and then just playing with the hands again. So you've got lots of options in this case. The first few are really obvious. They're just to come forward here, coming in this way. So front foot, front hand, this way. And this is wedging off. The strike's going to come at an angle. This way, this way. And then your other one is just to step in with it. That way, and do this one. Just play a little bit with the backhand as well. So don't worry about it too much. But just notice what happens because we're quite used to doing this kind of strike. Just play with what happens with the other hand. This way. And again, just really focusing on the hip work. Not really about the hand yet or the striking potential. Just about the idea of sending the hip through. Boom! This way. And just try and get it nice and heavy. It's not really about power yet. It's about mobility and weight. Weight. Yo! Yes. Yes. There we go. Nice. This is one of my favorite films is Terminator 2. Roland knows this story. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And T-1000, he can turn his arms into metal blades, right? So when you do this, just watch for doing like something like this. Something like that when you strike out. Even if I hit with that part of the hand, there's a real risk that I'm going to hit with the finger as well. So if the hand's open during that strike, like that, there's a risk that I can hit even that part of the knuckle, and then you're really, really going to kind of hurt it, especially if you hit the tip of the finger. So just when you go through, really think about consciously forming a kind of blade with the hand. So what you're doing is creating something like this. So creating a kind of strong thing. So this tendon in the hand goes really tight. That, and I do that by doing this kind of thing with the hand. So just play with it. It's hard, and I can really deliver weight with it. So it's got that kind of quality. The moment I can do that, but it loosens all this tendon because all those tendons go to the fingers. So it spreads the tension in the hand. And what I want to do is focus it on that part of the hand. That. That's also good for delivering a palm strike into the heel. I want to be careful with the thumb that I don't get the thumb caught, but that kind of way of doing it, that way. But just consciously as you go forward, think about drawing into that position. The hand's quite tight. That way. And I need a tight object to kind of hit with because the rest of the body's going to be quite loose. So that part of the hand's going to be quite tight. That's quite tight. Back down like this. Just play with it. Get the hands really now coming into position. That. And the other hand can be open because I'm not really going to use it. And you can use the other hand obviously for taking. So I'm going to either block with the other hand, in which case that can also be open because I'm going to receive with it, or I'm going to protect the head with it. So you've got two options you've got three options with the other hand. You can just protect the body with it. You can use it to blend in, or you can also use it to grab and strike this way. So this hand can be very useful, the other hand. Just notice what you can do with it. The other one you can use is to balance with it. So just that way. So you use the hand to kind of balance the body out. So you've got a few things you can play with, but they're all based on that same dynamic. That way. That's it. Good. Whoa. So think also about applications in this now. So when you do the Yokomen, my assumption with doing the strikes is like my partner's absolutely still. I'm going to walk up to them and go bam and hit them on the head. Maybe you might get away with that, but that's in terms of the attacking role. Think also in terms of the receiving role. So you can think about strikes coming towards you. I can just think about having the body open and receiving the body in. So do something like that. There's a ton of techniques, especially in the late Kokyunagi work, where you're drawing the body and cutting down through it, or you're cutting through the arm this way. So the applications of this movement are really broad. They're not just about training to attack the person kind of standing in front of you. The application is really broad. And also when you come into defense of your community work. So just slightly open the movement out. And just to give you some ideas, you can just work back. But just think about the application. The application of the Yokomen can be on any part of the body. So it's now not just about the side of the head, although it can be that way. It can also be to the arm, to the side of the body. Just start to open it out a little bit. But the same dynamic, I'm just opening it out that way. Just notice what you would do with the other hand as well. Just play with it a little bit. You can block with it. That way. That's it. That's it. Whoa. Okay, good. Great, last one. Just looking at the ski, so nice and quick with it. Obviously really easy. We do these in the Suguru work, so you've got front foot thrusting through, and you've got back foot thrusting in. Now we tend to do that back foot one just on the left side, but play with it if you like. You can do that both sides, but just feel that you've got just for you to play with. Arguably the most easy movement you've got in the 𝒊𝒏𝒈 work, but the hip work's actually quite tricky. You're doing something else with the hip, which is about kind of spiraling and really wedging the body through. Just play with it, and feel free also come into the strikes as well, as they start to open out different possibilities. So ski work, 𝒊𝒂𝒕 work, 𝒂𝒄𝒒𝒕, just playing with them all. Go. Yeah, the key with the 𝒊𝒑 that makes the characteristic of it, it gets a bit more exaggerated in when we go into Dojo work. But this feeling of going into 𝒕𝒂𝒂𝒂 and really wedging the body through. It's the same with the sword work. Again, really pretty exaggerated, but what you're doing is something like that with the body. So you're really opening the body out to that kind of position. Where we use them, if you think about like Tachidori or entry to a 𝒊𝒂𝒕, or you're really going to roll the body through this way and enter into 𝒕𝒂𝒂𝒂. So think about that application. I don't want to just go forward with the body and kind of be stuck in this kind of position. I want the whole body to be kind of wedging out in a spiral. And this especially true when you go to 7. Really wedging the body through the attack. Just play with it. So you've got really 3 distinct hip work patterns: 𝒊𝒂𝒕, 𝒂𝒄𝒒𝒕, and 𝒕. That's it. Nice, nice, nice. Whoosh. Yeah. Great. Okay, good. And then just to get empty-handed, what you can do now, obviously, really clear, just play with thrusting movements. So you've got a lot of options in the ski work, because also with the BOKKEN work, when you explore the variations on it, you've got tons of variations. So really obvious striking movements. You've got to the front, you've got from the back foot coming in, but you've got all these uraken too, this way, striking from the kia. But you've also got cross the body, which we don't tend to deal with in Aikido, but you've got lots of possibilities with the strike, but they're all based on a similar kind of idea of getting the hip to roll through, roll through, roll through. So the hips are doing like a spiraling motion. Hips doing that, and the body catches it. Body catches it. So just work around the room a little bit. I'm really focusing on the hip work. That one. So you can do really basic ski work. If you're familiar with it, just start to open it out a little bit. That way. That way. That way. That way. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah, so again, you've got lots of ideas to play with in terms of a 𝒕𝒕 specifically, not just about striking the person. So if you think about it, it's not just about the person being stood in front of me and I'm coming through and striking with them. Yeah, that's a part of it, but a lot of the work we're doing in Aikido is about something else, which is about blending through and striking. So you're blending in and striking. So that the strike's always going to be included with something else, or it's embedded within a movement, coming in these kind of positions. You just play a little bit with it, just the last minute or so. And just now much more about the movement. And again, trying to get the hip to come into it. Hip to come into it. And think less about like coming into striker standing target and much more about how would I use these movements embedded within techniques? Or how would I use the strikes to facilitate techniques? And how does that hip work place me in the position where I can enter into something with it? Just play the last few seconds. And ski gives you a lot of possibilities, tons. Yeah. Right. Actually, one last one. It's really great. It's one of my favorite applications in Aikido. So you've got to imagine someone's coming in with a yokomanuchi, so they're coming in, and I've totally missed the timing, so I don't have time to move at all. So what you do in this case is the front hand, they come into this position. All you do is this way. So you get the body in position and you do this way. And the head's just going to land straight onto the fist. And as I bring the hips into position, what happens with the hand just swings across the face if the hand gets close to the head. So what I'm trying to do is also block with the hand as well. So you've got an embedded atemi in this, and this I don't need to move at all. I need to be totally confident I can pull it off. But you're in this position and then you go like this. Straight in. So it goes straight into it. And then the technique's kind of done from there. You're either going to hit the throat or you're going to hit the side of the head. So you're looking for this kind of position, but it relies totally on hips. This way. Just give it a try. Last 30 seconds. You've got to imagine someone's really aggressively coming into you with this. And they've really made a mistake because they give you a really big opening in the attack. That's it. This is a case where the person really falls onto your fist. So it's not just watch this. It's not this. It's like this. So the person's actually falling onto the fist. So the person's coming in and they meet the fist, like this. And then I'm just positioning myself so that the hand either gets blocked here or it just kicks and rolls around it this way. So what you're doing is just kind of placing. It's very similar to this movement we do in kotegaeshi. You roll around and you just place the fist. And the person gets drawn into it, into the fist. And in this one, they just walk straight into it. So it's a great Aikido technique because they're not actually doing it. They do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good. There we go. Okay, great. We'll stop that. That's a good one to play with. You've got to get someone really committed to attack you. Good with protection as well. They can come in really strongly. And you can use fist. Boom, like this. That's a good one. Okay. Domo, arigato. Great. Very good.
Bang.